Did you know that 78% of people consider themselves to be above average in social skills? But the truth is, many are trapped in the snare of flattery. Easy compliments blind. Sincere criticism sets you free. Today, we'll show you how an anonymous critique saved a chef from failure. Listen to Tito's message. It will change your perspective.
Flattery is a trap. Keep your distance. Don't trust those who give you empty praise. Value a sincere criticism more than baseless adulation. The evaluation of our actions can give us the necessary warning to make adjustments. There is nothing more fragile than a person who is deluded about themselves. Easy compliments deceive us and make us vulnerable. Next, listen to the story of Apollos, which illustrates this message well.
In a noble neighborhood of a large city, the restaurant Flavor and Art was gaining notoriety. Philip, a young 30-year-old chef, fresh out of the best gastronomy schools in Europe, had inaugurated his dream with pomp and refinement. The place was modern, elegant, and the menu featured innovative creations, blending unusual flavors with sophisticated techniques. It didn't take long for social media to explode with compliments, with influencers and friends saying, "Genius," "Revolutionary," "The best chef in the city." However, despite all the superlatives, the restaurant was always empty. Philip couldn't understand what was happening. His heart swelled with pride seeing his creation applauded online, but the reality of the empty tables made no sense. He thought to himself, "How can this be? I'm creating something unique, something no one has ever seen or tasted. The world should be at my feet." But what seemed to be the peak of his career was turning into a silent nightmare. One night, after another day of silent failure, Philip, distracted, was scrolling through social media on his phone when he came across a review on an obscure gastronomy blog. The title hit him like a sharp blade. "Talented but presumptuous, the main dish at Flavor and Art is a waste of ingredients." The anonymous critic, who hid behind a pseudonym, pointed out that the truffle mushroom risotto, Philip's signature dish, was excessively salty and unbalanced, lacking the harmony that every dish worthy of a great kitchen should have. The criticism was aggressive, a personal affront. Philip felt an intense heat course through his veins. Who is this amateur to judge my work? They don't know what they're talking about. But as the anger began to subside, a subtle doubt, like a whisper, made itself present. What if they're right? The next morning, Philip went to the kitchen with his spirits still agitated, but with a growing curiosity. Ignoring the compliments of his staff and the frantic routine of the restaurant, he focused on the risotto. He prepared the dish again, this time with more care. He reduced the amount of salt, adjusted the seasonings, and with a touch of daring, added a little white wine and clarified butter, as a classic recipe he had ignored suggested. Each spoonful of risotto was carefully tasted, adjusted, and refined. He knew that if he wanted to save his restaurant, he needed to listen to something he had never considered, that the criticism was constructive. When evening came, the restaurant, as usual, had few people. But for Philip, that emptiness was filled with meaning, like a blank canvas he could finally paint with new possibilities. And that's when the anonymous critic returned. This time, the review was completely different, a surprising transformation. The chef listened, learned, and elevated his dish to a new level. The moment he read the words, an immense relief washed over Philip. As if a layer of pride and vanity had been lifted from his eyes, he saw the restaurant from a new perspective. Perhaps it wasn't the path of social media or flattery that would lead him to success, but the humility to listen, reflect, and improve. In a very short time, Flavor and Art was packed. Word of mouth, the genuine transformation of the dish, and the chef's honesty caught the attention of true food connoisseurs. More importantly, Philip was learning to be more than a successful chef. He was becoming a chef of character. That's when Stephen, the anonymous critic, showed up in person at the restaurant. Philip's surprise was great when he realized that the man behind the criticism was a former college classmate, who had given up his career as a chef due to a lack of recognition and support. Stephen, with a sincere smile, said, "I saw you getting lost in the praise and wanted to save you before it was too late. Criticism is not an enemy, it's the voice you need to hear when everyone else just applauds you." Philip stood in silence, processing Stephen's words. He finally understood that flattery had blinded him to what really mattered. Criticism, no matter how painful, had freed him from the prison of his own vanity. Without it, he would never have discovered the errors in his dish and, more importantly, would never have found the true path to success. Over time, Philip not only refined his risotto and his cooking but also matured as a person. He began to look more closely at every challenge that arose in his life. As a result, Flavor and Art became one of the most respected restaurants in the city. More than that, Philip founded a mentorship program for young chefs, where he taught the art of cooking, but above all, the importance of personal readiness. He used to tell his students, "Excellence is not born from easy praise but from the courage to face the truth." And with a smile he continued, "Because deep down, it's only by facing our flaws that we can truly grow." The story of Philip, the chef who learned to value criticism and face his fears, is a powerful reminder that not all praise lifts us up. Sometimes, true greatness comes from a dissonant voice that challenges us to be better, more humble, and more authentic. Success is not about being flattered, but about being able to listen to what leads us to evolve. And deep down, perhaps divine help is precisely in this, in the ability to give us the strength to hear the truth, no matter how hard it may be. Today, the restaurant Flavor and Art is a symbol not only of talent but of courage, humility, and transformation. Philip learned that true wisdom lies in listening, reflecting, and having the courage to change. After all, as he says in his talks for young chefs, success is not the end of the journey, it's just the beginning of a new opportunity to learn. And you, are you ready to hear the voice that can change your destiny? Next with Tito, discover how the Word of God underpins this story of growth and how you can also evolve with people God places in your path.
In your walks in life, be sure of God's constant support. He can even manifest himself through people who are already in or who enter our lives to warn us about important paths, offering us light for every step, in every direction of development. Today I want to share with you 3 passages from the Bible that speak to these powerful truths. The first passage is Proverbs chapter 27, verse 6, "Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses." This passage teaches us that sincere criticism, even if painful, is an act of love. Just as the anonymous critic wounded Philip's pride to save him from failure, God allows people in our lives to correct us. Flattery is like a traitor's kiss, it seems sweet, but it leads to ruin. Honest criticism, like a wound, hurts in the moment but heals and strengthens. Philip only grew because he accepted the pain of the truth. And you, are you willing to listen to those who really care? In the second passage, let's look at Psalm chapter 141, verse 5, "Let the righteous strike me, it is a kindness. Let him rebuke me, it is oil on my head." The psalmist compares a righteous rebuke to perfumed oil, something that purifies and prepares. Philip received the criticism as a punishment, but it became the blessing that perfumed his path. Often, we resist correction out of pride, but it is in it that the blessing lies. Philip's critic was not his enemy but an instrument of God to refine him. When we accept correction, we become like refined gold, valuable and brilliant. As a great warning, the third passage is in Galatians chapter 6, verse 3, "If anyone thinks they are something when they are nothing, they deceive themselves." This is the trap of flattery, it makes us believe we are more than we are. Philip thought he was the best chef in the city, but his empty restaurant proved otherwise. Paul warns us, self-deception is the first step toward a fall. The humility to recognize our limitations is the antidote. When Philip accepted that he was not perfect, he could improve. The truth sets us free, even when it hurts. And you, do you have the courage to face your own deceptions? Now, Apollos will lead us to a great reflection on how to apply these lessons in our daily lives. Get ready for an invitation to transformation.
Let's have the courage to see the truth. Philip's story is a mirror for all of us. We live in an age where praise is a currency easily exchanged, and criticism is avoided like the plague. But true wisdom is an understanding that flattery is a poison disguised as honey, while sincere criticism is the bitter medicine that heals us. Philip could have ignored the anonymous critic. He could have taken refuge in the bubble of praise that surrounded him. But he chose courage. And that choice saved him. How many times do we, like Philip, get carried away by the illusion that we are invincible? How many times do we prefer the comfortable lie to the uncomfortable truth? The biblical passages Tito shared are not just ancient advice, they are timeless warnings. Proverbs reminds us that true love wounds to heal. The Psalms teach us that a rebuke is a perfume that prepares us for greatness. And Galatians warns us, self-deception is the greatest danger. But how do you apply this to everyday life? Follow these 3 steps. First, cultivate humility. Recognize that you don't know everything and that there is always room for improvement. Second, seek honest feedback. Not from those who praise you for their own interest, but from those who criticize you out of care. Third, take action. Philip didn't just listen to the criticism, he acted on it. There's no point in knowing the truth if we don't use it to change. And remember, excellence is not a destination, it's a journey. Philip did not become a better chef overnight. He chose, every day, to listen, to learn, and to reinvent himself. That is the difference between those who get lost in flattery and those who build a legacy. If this video resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, comment, and share this message that can transform lives. Subscribe to Think Strong, and turn on the bell to not miss our next reflections. Your comments are our fuel. Tell us, has a criticism ever changed your life? In the description, you will also find the sociological aspect of this video for self-knowledge. If this story has inspired you, there's more to come. On the screen now, a video that will explore how humility can open doors that pride can never reach. Thank you for being part of Think Strong. Together, we are building a path of wisdom and growth. See you in the next reflection. May God bless your steps.